idea about Big Bang.
The idea about Big Bang.
La. Oh, Sheva de patient on that. Kagi. Kogdul. Okay. When did the quarks originate?
Ani tanda di injikten di jasir kanda chinro goyo jasir sunga ga ani ko nir mandra wala ani nga su proton ta ta na jing ga ani charge ta so kati chukoyo ta na jing ani du ta so di jurti ani ramba mandra wala chikoyo ti so kola ti chang yo res.
So how the universe is expanding and how these fundamental particles like proton and so on were formed in the early phase of the universe?
Very good. And one of the very key things, what is it possible? You know, we started out with primordial particles being created, right? Meaning quarks and leptons being created right after the Big Bang. What make it possible for the atoms to form at a later stage? What is that important key thing that make it possible?
The tome chala ni khetor chimbu chungne dine ngazu the shidu du chubarwa khogdu dan leptom la soba. And the trumne chisu that dutain to Zutubia go to Rua, Chesa dutain troop to the Kari, again Kariji tone, troop to Bares, the Nenga Chimbuji Chungsumas. The temperature cools down or drops?
Very good. And what makes the temperature cool down?
To say much higher the Karigi Chebares.
Very good.
The expansion of
because of the expansion. Excellent. All right, and we spent a lot of time talking about dark matter yesterday. We also did I'm sorry.
아니 다나시께서 더 명예 뱀수 꼴래 뒤져도 땅 버바스.
We also did a very simple calculation and estimate about the size of the observable universe.
데네 아주 통롱기 직된 감디 다 체세 가주인 바 디 아니 롭지지 아주 지기 톤에 쳐봐인 바스.
Right, and what we observed was that even without taking into account the effects of the expansion and the acceleration of the expansion, we already could get to a very good ballpark of the number.
제자들 직된 감 야게 로싱기 신바다 근데 야게디 뉴는다 제베 톤에 야게 로와디 마지바 이나야 직된 감디 아니 롭지시나 체세 디기스도 슬라는 아주 쳐바지 렌토 송하스케자.
Right? And then we talk about the foundation of cosmology and what are they? The two foundations.
3?
2.
Okay. Then 다나신 아주 직된 감라고 레낭시 기 감디기 아니 시마 라고라 시된 아니 콜라 슈바인 바스 시된 니 요레스라니 슈인 니부디 카르레스 라 the same structure and the same direction? Structure and direction?
Structure and direction, you're getting it. The two pillars. What are the two pillars?
Kawani di Carres. The special relativity and cosmology principle, the cosmology principle?
Cosmological principle, right? Relativity and cosmological principle. And today we will go into relativity. So I'm not going to ask you anything. But how about the cosmological principle?
The jigde kasa nangsigi ni zanzin lagorwa di karides.
Isotropic.
Okay. Jigdi the isotropic the sarashendadi homogeneity.
Right. So what does it mean by homogeneous?
Homogeneous laba ina khare lagwo res tenda khares. The structure is same or similar?
Structure is the same everywhere at every point.
제자단다 homogeneous lady any Quran goba di cha khawala teba inaya ani jigba 직과 요바스.
And how about isotropic?
드네 내냠 라 갑줄 차산라 직과 두기요바. Okay. So expanding in the similar fashion in all directions.
In all directions. So these two, isotropic and homogeneous, this need not to be, these are not the same concept.
드니니 직과 말했다. Isotropic, the homogeneous 드니니.
All right, very good. And we also look at the notion about gravity. How should we think about gravity? How it was changed from Newton to Einstein.
다나시 땅아주기 아니 남카세저와 스페이스디 안디기 삼로당당라 아니 아인슈타인기 삼로당당다 뉴턴기 삼로당당디 교와 뉴턴기 삼로당당네 아니 교와 칸데스테바 디코데 카자슈임바스.
So how did Newton interpret gravity? What is gravity according to Newton?
뉴턴 시순체나 알레 그래비티기 되수디레샤 사이 텐슈체와 디 칸데스라 삼로당기 레스 뉴턴기 as a force.
It is a force. Right, so with two particles together, if they are massive, then there is a gravitational force that is attractive.
Tene that do the Wajini Yobayinas, do say you taking Duiniona, and do say the Gengi Kuni Barala Tenshu to Gudwa, or the any side Tenshu say the rest.
According to Einstein, what is gravity?
Einstein Shisun Chebaina, any side Tenshu the Carres. The curvature of the space time.
Curvature of the space time, the space time geometry.
The 카수기 국차식으로와 아니 꼬바딜라 아니 사이텐슈식으로스.
So how does space-time geometry give rise to how does a particle move? How does a space-time geometry influence how the particle moves?
다 원딘데 임바이나 다 카수기 꼬바지로와 아니 디기 아니 듀지 구조 땅야라 겐 칸데스 지거레스. 더 칸데스 지거레스. Okay. So the more massive the particle is, the higher the curvature of the space, space-time around it.
And then you can put a test particle, and how does a test particle move?
다 온데 되제 채와요나 디타기 아니 카두이처럼 카두이디 국자 채와요 요레스 안델라 최대 뒤 심바직 샤바이나 안디 칸데스 구조 당그레스. It'll swirl around it.
Swirl around, right? It will respond. That's an important word. Once you have this space-time curvature, the particle's motion is to respond to this curvature.
제가 더 카두이처럼 카두이 고바디 손자스 델라 뒤지 최다게 뒤지 샤바이나스 거기 야레 델라 야렌트 바슬랍 그레스 respond 야렌디 아니 코 고바치 송기 아니 야렌트 그레스.
All right. And what math did you learn yesterday, or did we do yesterday?
계산한조 앙지 가리 제바인 앙지 가리 장바인스. 간조 가리 장바인스 앙지. log 세단디 장바와.
Right, we did some scientific notation, we did a unit conversion, and what is this very useful trick for unit conversion?
제가 계산한조 다 세리기 아니 넘버를 합다 지단디 직 시버와. 되네 아니 지시 편지 지시 편지 제규르 지단디. 제가 지시 제규르 지디스 아니 아주 카르소레 탑시 믹스에도 가리땡에요 레스트 레라부기 탑시 트릭도 지시 제우게라 라 cancellation,
right? The power of one, like number one.
그래서 아니 지기단 안기 지기로와 안기 지기 누도 슬라네다 페나 로직라 카차 디기스 용거레 슬라네 아니 카차 디기스 로디 고윤디 안기 직 차야죠와 어디 아니 장바임바스.
Very good. And we also review a little bit of the log function.
다나시 아니 캐사 단다 로기 아니 제바스고로 디코데 도시 테버레스.
So what is log based on 10 of 10 to the 8th power?
난다 시장 주의 아니 디 카스레 잭마 A 기 log 카레스.
A. Right? Excellent. Is it clear?
세부 차세 log 라이디 세부 차세. 근데 아주 잭마요와 exponent 잭마 세제와 주의 잭마 숨슬라디 다 log 세디 오케이 계속 장사와 선상.
So yesterday we look at log based on 10 of 10 to the 2, they give you 2, right? If I have log based, I should write. What is this?
디 가져레스.
2, right? And if I have to the 5th power, 5. So now I have 8th power. What should be the answer? 8. Is that clear? Right, so I hope this is, you start to get familiar, get comfortable with the symbol, not just the numbers, but the variables.
다 계산 아주 안기 천시 치라바 니니 때버와 아니 디기다 시장디 청거와 베이스요라 디 청거레스 제가 베이스 주로와 안기 디 안기디 가져레나 주의 쟁만이로와 된라고 야로와 로와 제가 안기 야기 아니 log 가져레스 라바이나 로와 log디 니레스 안기 야기 log디 제가 log 라 개침부디 시장디로와 데이터디 코라 시장디 가져임바디 뜬거로와 제자다 시장디 잭마 가져 제바이나스 안기디라기 레슬라니 log 디튼다디디로와 로와 log 시디 카렐라나 안기 강식 로와 디갸로와 안기 야디스 아니 주디 답 가져 제바이나스 아니 갸라기 레세지 로와 안디 고 잭마 주디 잭마 가져 제바이나 잭마니 다나신 디나 봄직로와 봄직 임바 손자스 시장 주 this and bumjik raya la shiranchu di segma khaju chegores sladi nga ro chesan log se di segma khaju dogores ye gi thunda ro di indi ta thanda de la ro ani chui top nga yonas amar chui top e di ta thanga khari nge sung me be thanga chik che ro chesan shiran di chui imba che ro shiran chui imba che ani thanga di 아니 주의 잭마 A 이나스 안 디기 로코 잭마 가져 도고레슬라나 잭마 디 A 도고와 제가 A 디 단다 당아주 장각이 숨 맞추고 버지는 장각 가야로 와스 가리네 디고르데 장가디 로와.
Thank you. So today we will get more into log, do a little bit of the review, going beyond this case.
제가 트레이닝 아주 앙지 야야디 디네파 딜레냐 아니 카르소레 아주 겔네 두그레스.
Because as you already learned both from last year when we discussed the decay, right? As well as when we look at the experimental part, log appear very often.
제가 난징 아주기 아니 통원나 신신에 아니 카르소레 자제 지기 누번 냠세도도 니버냠세 조단처럼 디 아니 카르소레 log number라 두고 레스 디 무슨자 단다 log 지시디 제와차기 레스.
And later when we also get into the area of time, the direction of time, again we will encounter the function of log.
치수 ngazu ta thugi damo lagora thugi khapcho la tebe kapsu ya ani thanda logi ani cheba de le yungures.
All right, so let's get started. Any questions up to now?
Dibadu tiwake US.
Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to get into relativity in great detail. And of course, to discuss relativity, the very first important concept is something called the inertial frames.
Ta tudrubgi namsha rwa ani karsore shuwe kapsus ani nedyen chi khechum shu chagyo res di kharres lawaina inertial frame di inertia di gyurgo rangshi gi ani tushis di khechum res gyugo rangshi su nebe tushi ra jada inertial frame se di khechum chagyo res.
So what do you remember about Newton's first law?
Newton ki tentim thangbo di kharire kyanzo thengi dwes. An object will maintain its state, initial state, unless, as long as it does not experience a net force.
Right, so if there's no net force, the state of the object will stay the same. And when we say state, or when you say state, what do you mean by state? Give me more precise definition.
Chada di karsa tentim thangbo di ani ngobo chigla da sujeng ngobo chiglas ani changla gi shuk mathe chinjela khorangi ani thome nebob di sungire sungro di thome nebob se di ani khandejela gongba shigi yes kharilab gi res.
Either
state at rest or in motion.
Right, state at rest or in motion, and what that means is the velocity is a constant.
Ta thanda de la thome nebob se nebob gi keje ta zodi ani nyurse di res nyurse ko ani tempo chine de.
Right, so if the initial velocity is 0, that means the object initially is at rest, then it stays 0.
Chada ngobodigi nyurse chora nyurse di lego yimba ina khora gumengal negyo ba rwa ngeso ngal negyo ba chada ngeso se yundi khorangi nyurse lego yimba di chongo rwas.
But if the object initially is moving at a constant velocity, meaning it's a fixed magnitude and one direction, right? Then it will stay at that constant velocity.
Taya chala di rwa sujeng obo di ko nyurse ani tempo chingal rogi yonas ta nyurse tempo se yundi nyurse la parcha manrowa akora mutu ni thagara negi ba.
All right, so this is very similar when we define what it means by inertial frame.
Ta thanda de la gyurgo rangshi ki tuishi se yundi ani thanda chungba res thanda.
So a reference frame that is not experience any force, then that frame is moving at a constant velocity.
Dende ki tuishi chorwa tuishi di la ani shuk ani khangya matheba right ani korangi nyurse di nyurse tembu ngane dreshin o dende chigla ani gyurgo tuishi slabgo res.
All right, so here just give you some example. Suppose I am staying here at rest, and Chongju is moving at that direction at 5 meters per second, constantly. And then let's see, Lobsang, you are walking the same direction at 10 meters per second. Are all three of us inertial frames?
Tang azu tuishi sumyo wa chi chikdi gyala Quran che ani Quran gi nyurse di ani lego rwa yimba che dene tuishi niba chi yo ba che nga che nge gi nyurse di ani karcha re la mi nga che dene tuishi sumba lobsa ani karcha re la mi chu du gu yo nas nga zu sumga gyurgo tuishi na yor bes.
Yes or no? Yes, right, because all three frames, all three of us, all our reference frames are moving at constant velocities, even though the values of the velocities are different.
더 숨가 줄고 되시나라 여바 지구레스 라 숨기 뉴르세디 찍바 마레스 이나야 콘수기 뉴르세라 파샤 두고 되서나 두고면도 와스 디임버순자 숨가 아니 줄고 되시나라 요레스.
All right. So which frame is at rest?
디낭로레 아니 줄고 되시 하기 녜소 간라도스. The first one.
Are you sure?
땡땡 임베스. All three.
According to you, but according to Lobsang, which frame is at rest?
롭상 시순 제나 아니 녜솔 가기 요레스 줄고 되시 가기 녜솔은. 숨자. All three.
It's 3, right? Your own frame.
No, all three. Is it?
All 3 are
All three of them. The first two.
All right, give me. I need 3 volunteers.
당란 숨 고예스 겐라.
3 volunteers.
당란 숨 당란 등에 숨 페로체스.
One more. Okay, sis.
Okay, sis.
All right, pretend we are living in one-dimensional world, so only one direction you can move.
ngazu thanda chokse chigi jigde na yoba sunza cho chigla ma do gujyo ta yo mardas.
And try to move at constant velocity, at constant speed.
komba yawe kapsu gyokse tembu chene ro gyokse chikan la komba yaro ches.
So what's your name? Jamia. Jamia. Geisha Jamia. All right, so you are staying at rest.
kya ngesu nebabra res.
And Geisha Gaelic, move at, let's see, 10 centimeters per second.
centimeter karcha rela centimeter chu peronas.
This way. And Geisha Genzing Zigzing. All right. 50 centimeters per second. All right. So maybe you want to like get a little bit. All right. So start.
je nye som.
Constant.
gyokse chigal pero ches.
All right. Who is at rest?
ngesu la sudus. Kese jamya?
Who is at rest? Or who is at rest?
kya chena ngesu la sudus.
Who is at rest?
kya chena ngesu la su keshas. ngesu nebab la sudus.
You. Is he moving? Is he moving? According to you, he's moving. Who is moving?
su gujyo tangedus.
You are moving? Both of them are moving, but you are at rest.
제가 뜻이 소소 제바이나 뜻이 gelé 소윤도 심바니디 아니 구조 단계열에 코랑에서 내버레스 아니 뜻이 린즈노버 소윤도 공에서체 심바니디 구조 단계도와 이네 뜻이 계시 자면 송바이나 코랑에서래 심바니디 아니 구교레스.
So do you agree all of their responses?
코란 속에 대신에 나에서래 유스 아니 숨가기 송바이나 캔즈 메튼 낭투 서비스. No?
No? So who do you say is at rest?
캔즈 제나 숭에서래샤.
Right? So how should I be asking the question? Because I did not answer the question correctly.
디와 칸데스 티고레스. 디와디 참부지 칸데스 티고레스. So according to which reference frame?
According to which observer, right? That's a key thing because different observer, depending on their own motion, their perception, their measurement will be different.
제가 디와 티다 참셔디 아니 독시바 술라되데스 아니 수구교 단계도 가기에서 내도스난 티고레스 가서나 독시바 수수에게 천재시야디 로가 차두레스.
And is a concept of being at rest absolute or not?
다 탄다 녜솔라 쾌도스라니 축두기 아니 디에 요르베스.
No, it's relative, right? Depends on, again, which frame the observer is in.
다 축두기 토네 디 녜솔라 쾌레 세지 미도아스. 고 녜솔 쾌 마쾌 세디 똑시발 라리기도 아스.
Is this clear?
디 세부 차스메스. 예간네.
니 트와데라 난주 나라서 있는 전신 조와 나이 디 트시게 제거라 단다 디 게겔레라 때나 자야디 나라스다 자야디 구조 당원다고 난거라 이냐 간다 강사 찍을 때네 뜻이들라 코랑을 트와딘데 용시에요 말베스 당가도 테마다 트와라 차고요 다 단다 디 제나 코랑 트시에 임바이네 나라스다 낭천다 트시래라 코랑 속에 다 코랑스 낭스 다라려네 디 샤샤고래라다 딘데기 세 제거라다 말했어요.
So according to observe Gilek, his perception of the other two moving,
Right.
Jamyang moving, is that illusory or is that a fact?
Is that what?
Illusion,
If
optical
you-
illusion or?
No, it's not optical illusion. It is the measurement, right? According to him, that's what he measured.
디 아니 추세 샤그마레스 간사나 코랑기 천지 시에디 다라 독십 중에야스네다 천지 시에디 디차데요 로스.
genga dewa anda de genga ke soe de gen gile la te bai na gen gile ji dusta bai na jaya do de res ro ani nga da cheta do da mo do se de ro ge nga zo ko shuk ji be je tang ro ga la ko nyur se ji yong ba la shuk ji be je tang ro ta jaya ko de de sam ba la ko mi se ge nyur se yo mare la shuk be je tang ma ra me sa na gile ke dusta de sam ba la ani jaya de do son la de ani khandi se ko res ko shuk ki ni be je tang do stage.
So generally for an object to move, it requires a force or an energy. So according to Gelek, right, Jamyang is not using any energy to move. So that motion isn't that just something that appears to you and not real. The motion is not real.
But he's at rest, right? So now the question is, how does he go from, should I say it? Not moving into moving, right? Then that's, how should I say
According to observer B,
Right.
According to observer B, Jamyang is moving,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And is his motion produced by an energy? Is there an energy associated with that motion?
Right, but the motion is not changing. That's a key thing. So here, just think about this constant motion, this constant velocity started way back from negative infinity time.
Ale ngego edi khares laba ina gujo tangi yorde ina gujo lo juwa thepki marwas gujo lo juwa mathe basunza nyune lego roa nyune lego indi changshu go mares shuk thep go mares ata khorangi nyune tembudi khawane chungbares lana be thomani ya thego res roa.
Right, so we are not talking about what triggered the motion.
ngazu thanda dela ani kho gujo di gele gujo di kharigi ke bares lani di thanda tagi yo mares.
I hope that's clear, because there's a discontinuity, right? If you think about, well, how could he start from not moving and then moving, right? Then there needs to be a force.
Kesirwa kura ani ngeso maimbe nebabla dowa ina rwa ani di khasure shukji gugures ine thanda nedan di nalo di chunguyo mares.
But the moment we are not satisfying the condition for inertial frame, because there is an acceleration. Right?
What's that?
I said that starting point, right, from zero velocity to some non-zero velocity, that require force, because there is an to get that velocity change.
So what did you say about initial
So I'm
state?
saying here, just consider the object is already moving at constant velocity, because that's what is needed, a condition for inertial frame.
Ale ta thanda yurgo deshi shayalas rwa chagen changgoe ji khares laba inas thongme gi nebab chero thongme nebab di 아니 뉴세 템비 네버블라 네고고레스 라 통메 네버디 뉴세 템불라 네켄치기 토네 안 유고듯이 조고요레스 임바손자 아니 카르소레 디다 차겐디 창고고요레스 유고듯이 용야라
And of course, observer 2 will see observer 1 moving, and he will measure there is a kinetic energy associated with a constant velocity motion.
따뜻이 니버디기 따윤디 뜻이 당보디 뉴세 템부지간 루고르와 루기여바 선자 코란라 구교기 누바 요고레스 구교 니버디 천제 제투고레스 제투고레스 가조인바디
So I hope that clarifies it.
세부차스면스 세도로스면스
딩아 단도 독바 딜레스라 단다 가서 있는 니마 잠불링기 니마라 거라 니마 있는 니마가 잠불링 거래 라고라 만나서 낭찰라 단다 가서 시자와네 니마 도와 난거도 다 단다시 디타와 있는 니가 세마 임베서로 차르거다 니마 권네 가르 권네래 창마 찍고다 차르거다
So earlier it was believed that the sun is the one that revolves around the earth, right? And then later, it's said that it's the earth that revolves around the sun. But according to this, we can say that sun is also revolving around the earth.
Right, so this depends on which perspective, right? If you are the center, then according to you, it's other objects that are moving.
디게다 아주 독시바 수레샤 독시 쟁행 코란 가와도 딜라라리게요레스 라 독시 쟁행 코란 이델 아니 네바지니 찌바이나 아니 신다 상마기 콜로콜 코르데요레스
도시들 추마 추래 계제전이 여마라 도시들 가능성은 다랑 샤샤람 도시들 고 추마 추세야 되니 계제전이 여마라 베스
So if we take the perspective of the observer, then everything that appears to the observer, is that real? Or can we say that there's also kind of illusion involved?
So real in the sense that there is measurable effect. And we will see actually one real example.
제가 단다디 독시발라 되되 뭐니 주 이마인세디 카왈지 고레슬라바이나 고랑기 낭왈 가리 낭바이나 디 천제 룽와 레도 레미도 따그레스 안디 천제 룽와이나 고 덴바샤고 그레스
Right, so again, by real, I mean we can perform, the observer can perform the measurement.
제가 단다델다 덴바레 세디 아니 가리가니 샤그레슬라나 독시바디기 천제 툭기도 민도 디가니 샤고레스
페나 다 도시바니 유르치라 타와체 코니 니가데 센제롱와 치티 딱 페나 조기도시 치든 조기면도시 코니가라데 타데온데 딘디지 갑레야 가서 다쇼 가르쳐와 코니가레 야샤 치고 치장을 쉬어라 페나다 기신 차용레나 코란레 뜨네 코란 조고요 말에 코란레 뜨나 기시 게레게 땅원데 코도요레세 같이 들어와 땅아츠 의원이 살라 다쇼 가르쳐 다쇼 도시바 니가레 덴바요라 땅 의원이 살아서 좀 만들어야 돼 야나 조게열에 대해 직벌에 연애 조다 만들어야 돈다 직벌에서
Okay. So this seems to what can be considered as the truth, so from the two from the perspective of the two observers, each can say that I'm not moving, then the other one is moving.
Right.
So which observation should we believe? That can we say that both are resting and both are moving, or how should we validate
that? That is a key point here, right? Meaning the rest is not absolute.
제가 니게다 가서래 닝부도디 카레스 라바이나 녜소세디 축도 마레스 라 강라에 마되베 녜소지기 요 마레스 다나신 드바세디에 축도 마레스
ता संगी लब्जें दे सार से आरी फेगिरा आरी फेदे ता गेले तो न गंजो लदने गेंडर सुडर ता थिने
So after you finish your course here,
Yes.
then you will fly back to the US.
Yes.
So who is going back, you or us? Who's moving back?
I will be flying back, but am I in the inertial frame?
당보디 다 견라 바 푸르고 와 안디 값소 견라 아니 유르고 뜻이 날 내기를 베스 푸르 값소 유르고 뜻이 또 유르고 뜻이스나 뉴셀 유르와 메바 뉴셀 랑소르 네바 no you won't
No,
be
right? There is acceleration if I'm going to fly.
gyala purve kapsu ani nyunen da che de drogor was nyunen yor was la so tanda gyala namdu purve kapsu slar ta dinene modernal droba ine da namdu na drodu nyunen da che de khorangi droba khorangi gujyo de la nyunen tepore tepko maresena nyunen tepor was.
And furthermore, I think this may clarify a little bit. Is the earth at rest?
that ngazu khola jero khola di ngesurla ngesui nebabla yorbes khola say khola
Nyeso da niga yores.
okay so according to us the earth is at rest
Right? According to you. That's a point, right?
the di nenga che di nenga di res ngala tö de se ji do ngala tö de zambuling di ngesor ne de yores
But if say you are in the space station, right, away from the earth, what do you observe? Is
Oh,
the
that-
earth at rest?
kya ta khayin na lo la sunga do chi na li yo ba ina ani kya gi ta yun di zambuling di ngesor ne de yores
No.
no it's
Right?
moving
So again, being at rest is not absolute. It really depends on the reference frame.
제가 예소 코도 코민도 라이디 라 아니 똑시바 코랑기 니 가서 되실라 라리기도 아스 똑시바 코랑 가와이바 디인디 타직도 예소 내레세지 요 말레스 축두뱅에 축두발라고 그래 강라에 마되 바 아니 예소 내레스라니 딘데 내켄지 샤투 마레스 나 So when I say that Geshe Jamyang is moving away from me,
Yep.
is it the mere fact that the distance between us is increasing
Yes.
or decreasing?
Yes.
That's
That's a consequence. Right? That's how you know, how you measure he is moving.
제가 코란 두고도 세디 라 천지에디 다가란 레스 강타디 아니 링도 두고도 통도 두고도 디다에 드레스
Right?
So it seems that it may be a matter of semantics,
Yep.
How we talk, right? But the fact is the distance between the two is increasing. So when we say someone is moving away or someone is moving, right, the fact remains whether it's from this observation or from that observation,
Right.
the distance is increasing.
Right?
Yeah. So he was just making a statement.
Right, but yes.
다른 인사를 했어요.
아주 네
So usually when we say someone is tall or short, it's based on something, right?
It's based on
Relative to something, something else,
Yes.
right? It's an object
Yes.
that we use. So it seems that something can be both long and short or tall and short.
yeah, depending on the observer, and we will see the example.
The race, the Tokshiba Korangi, any Karsure, Tesa, Susula Shigde, any Ringwa Tunga Niga Ngunziche, your race.
All right, so Is it clear, this concept? Yes, and of course, I use the example of the Earth, and then you can, as my response to that question, it's not the frame. We can always, define a instantaneous inertial frame, right? Just take a very short moment when the velocity is a constant during that very, very short moment. And within that, in that very, very split second, the reference frame is inertial.
Chidada tanda karsure ngazu zambulingi pe di sungbarwa ani sunga ni mata yundi khande yume di masun ta ngazu ngobo manchegi suje ngobo manchegi dreba dela rwa ani nyune tepne drogo rwa inaya ngazu thuze thundunji ringala ko ya ngeso karsure nyuse tembu gala ne yungurwas rwa kora yugo tishina neba thuze thundunji lemba ina ko jog thugurwas.
And this instantaneous inertial frame is a key concept in general relativity, but we don't have to go too much into it.
The karsure instantaneous lana da karsure kiji lagore tushigi namshadi ya ji turugi namshada dewa chagi yores ine tanda shumugo ches.
All right. Yeah.
The tanda dromondo laji do. Tanda dromondo se di toshe bala rale mato faso yula rale yo marila korela.
Yula rale yo maris.
Mada toshe bala rale yo marto ani yutila drunkenjora yutila rale yo marila korela.
So are you saying that the motion is entirely dependent upon the observer and not the object?
It's okay. So the observer is observing how the object moves, right? So you do need the object moving so that you have something to measure.
So that ngobojik do majo say this tokshiba korangi is ra ani ngobo de la tene ra suje ngobo de la tene ani dreba you make shigor was.
Right. So I hope that that's clear.
So are you saying that it's dependent on both?
It would depend on both, right? You are the observer, so you carry, this is your reference frame. Right, so, and in my reference frame, say we walk together at the same speed, you are walking, right? I'm observing the object moving, but according to my measurement, in my reference frame, Geshe-la is not moving.
Right. So that the niga la tugi res, ra niga la tugi res, pena gyala khuni komba gyani nyam do dona, ra kurangi gyala kurangi ta yundi gishi gelela nyam do dugu yo thongru was. Ine chenje chebe kapsu, ra ani chenje dela nyam do dugu yo ma res. Karsure chenje kapsu kuram madro bachene. Ani rangsur ne badi chenje na thuyung res.
Pena di yongda. Nanzo namdi na ngama ngati ndi chunyida. Pano tongso le temba chini mera. Nanzo namdi dini badu gara. Phoshere namdi chukda. Ta chiba chikjo chini phage dan roa chini nangmude. Kasi di yeyu temba da dini tisa tunji chini mera. Dini zena ngam phage namdi da nanzo namdi chiba chikjo drugde. Phoshere dan roa chini nangmuda.
So Gele was sharing an observation that he had while traveling in air. Once he observed another plane, and there was no cloud. And it seems like both the planes are at rest.
Yes, excellent. And the fact that you perceive it as at rest is the constant, the distance between your plane and the plane I'm in remain the same.
So that the pagi di mandro watching so that is day they were nangyora naya the kares labaina namru ni pagi jangta koranda pagi namru ni pagi jangta la juwa mandro wasunza dirwas. Jangta la juwa dugu yo ma res kuni pagi.
Pena ta observer de ene woke kyokse gane ta wola tuna se do wola tuna ta tamchet ani woke kyokse rang gane ro yo res.
Ale. So if the observer is on a photon, then do all the objects move at the speed of light?
Aha. We will see.
We'll
get there.
So this ngangu rings na ronas. Jo leaders.
Any other questions?
Tiwashimba yes.
This target. Okay. The Chidan the Toxiba in the two real leisure. The Tola Joe to the Indian Penasana and Galapa Arila Jodugala, Monsula Tebe Galapa Joatardo, Parila Tugio Ashera. Ini Gala Latini Monzo Hachore, Tugio at the Sungore leisure. The Toxiba Latini Tabarilla. Ini Tungani, Chidin Tanya Latini Newman to get it to Yoma best. Penang tang monzo gela la tene monzo dugi na monzo dolla di kawal shawre jagani jagal dolla ore shambachil dolla.
So when you say that when you move away from here, go back, according to your observation, you are saying that we are the ones who are moving.
No, I'm not saying that. Again, in that situation, we are no longer in the inertial frame, right? I need to get to the airport. I need to, I'll be in the car will be accelerated to the airport. I have to get out. All these are, right, not satisfying the condition for inertial frames.
The gela kora dinini do part arilo do sidu dogen gela kora res ra kanzu dugu res lani sungu mes kansina gela tanda di jugo teshinal yomares ra jugo teshina yomar kansina dinene modana shu namduna shu chidu nyunen thep korwa nyunen thep di jugo teshinal ne tugu yomarwa kense di imbasunza kanzu dugu yora nga dugu mes lani sungu mes.
Rabbi say, once I'm in the air, I really like the example Geisha provided, right? Once I'm in the air, there's no cloud, so I don't, and from my perception, inside the airplane is not moving, right? It is, and if there's another, say, very fast jet just go by, from my measurement, my perception, my measurement, that jet is moving.
Taina namduna pursan nam tingla liroa le dinde lebe kapsus ani yen le timba khaya meba chene dichidu ani gyala khona gi tayundi namru gujo khora tangi meba chik thona di chungur bas ra tene thila namru shembaji joku shujin dreba ina ra di namru shembadi dreba di gyala gi gyala nangir was de.
So I hope that make it a little bit more clear.
제가 피제 교고되시나 레차위 젤라스 아니 낭수디 아니 저기도 카르사 코란 양타링 동 왕기 아니 드와다 대와 샤초그레스. Okay, so you were earlier talking about when you were not in an initial reference frame, then you can say that you are moving, you are the one who's moving. Then why the motion, whether something is moving according to an observer, earlier Geshe Gelela mentioned that it's the increase in the distance or in a change in the distance between the two objects.
Right.
And that change can happen whether that observer is in an initial frame or accelerated frame. So why are we emphasizing so much on this initial frame, that the velocity needs to be constant?
It doesn't need to be. I want it to be so that I can carry out the discussion in spatial relativity. That's a condition.
지단 제가 이나코 뉴는 수쟁 오버 독시바 코라 뉴네 맵에 템부 임베 가서 센제 제거해야 되는데 개요 말레스 뉴는다 제바 인초그레스 이나야 단다데 믹스에 뚜두기 아니 디콜 슈윤디 라 아니 유고 뜻이디 개심부 차기요 레스 디단데네 아니 뉴세 유고 뜻이세야디 뉴세 템불라 네베 아니 뜻이직라 랍기요 레스.
Right, of course, when I fly back to America, I know I'm moving because it takes me energy to walk, right? I have that perception of my body. I know I'm moving because it costs energy to get to the airport, to board, to put my backpack down and all that. So I know it.
때 게라코나 파 로드디 코란 두기요바다 디치기요바디 소르투그레스 칸스나 딜 뉴바 구요레스 라 콤바갸고레 잘라키고레 뉴바 페체 땅기 여바선자 뉴바 페체 땅 어디 수수 수부기 소르교 아니 독십 중구요레스 세상 아란 두기요스라네 랍투기요레스
아게라 니 단단데요 아니 소소미 콘나데데요나 칠라 아니 메커진 로이나 소소 다사가 메커지요 어때 양 소소 로르는 것도 로르는 것도
네네
어때 단다 나수니 올라 요마르웨스 소소
수수 데데바체 메고신 바지 도바이나
메커테 소소라 로르는 것도 소소 다사가 메커테
ale if you are in a train and you are at rest and you observe another train moving by and to your perception it seems like you feel like you are the one who's moving.
I think I have a different perception.
Kena koral tongzi logachi yonggodos.
Pena dirista sindila. Ke laesta. Di nganzo kari yong disin really niara. Nga dede yerda. Pasho really the part rogarda. Tange sal mata de gikuno ni religible tana soso drugdaya. Tango ya jana sal tashoda soso de drugdaya. Didi ngazo ti tisa de jiblo gwara khandilo raya.
So so Gele is also sharing his experience of observing on a train, right? So your train is rest. Your train is rest and not moving, but the other train is moving.
Right.
When you look at the train, right, you feel as if your train is moving, but when you look at the ground, you realize that you are at rest.
Because
So-
that's your friend.
Yeah. So, in that case, is your observation mistaken? That you're observing that or feeling that you are the one who's moving.
So you say you feel you are moving, even though with other train moving.
Yes. When the other train is moving slowly and you
Okay.
look at it, at the train, right? And you feel as if you are moving backward. But when you look at the ground, you realize that your train is not moving.
Or how many of you have that experience?
On the day nyamyon chungye khatsu yes.
Okay, very interesting.
genjunu tananga jo diera zambulin digala the mingi yera nga digala yere ngi roba che yere dawa gala yeba ina the roba che dawa gala yere roba che ngi dam la yera ta dam la degen dele to nga de dera phajol la to nga dera de ngi ga gin dan la de de da ta di indu zambulin digala de yo
Tishila rally reson sa. Tishi ta pera dawal dinge di. Tangi sere la gora space station la yunge de la ngazu sangma do de res.
na jo kazan di distance se dokan la delta t d era initial la de ne thengora ta initial de gaduna do ba de de ta initial level ne ta kan to kandis se gores
Initial ki position di khandes the gores. Ale. So his question is if an particle is moving, right, and we want to measure something,
Yes.
It's in a constant motion. How do we get the initial position for a particle that is moving if we want to observe, make a
Right,
measurement?
so I think probably to clarify it, using human-sized object that may be like too complicated, right? So are you talking about the real-world measurement, like
Real world,
as a human,
yes.
human size, or anything? And what is the object you want to? So give me a scenario.
So let's say a small particle is moving at
Right,
constant speed, and we want to measure something about the particle and want to know the position, initial position. So how do we find the initial position of that particle?
You can observe the particle, right?
Yeah.
And you just make a mark where the initial position is. because you can see the particle.
자, 배나 뒤지 코도신 바이나스. 다 코랑기 통매기 네법디 걸 송구요 네시디 걸 송구요 나스. 다 뒤디 아주 통구여 와스. 통구여 뒤다 뒤라 뒤 고주바다 안 뒤디 과케기도 딩 아주 통투그레스. 통와순자 네시디 레샤슬라니 아주 ng지 체투그로 와스. 라. 0. So, okay, so we observe the particle
Right.
moving and then we start the time and
Yeah.
know that the particle is at this position.
Yeah.
But, can we define that as the time 0 or the original or the initial position? Is the
initial
particle at...
position. Yep, you could do that. But with respect to the initial time, then you know what the final time should be.
네, 지상 그 뒤디 드레신 바이나야스 랑아주기 베나 뒤뒤디기스 링갈라스 베나 가차 나이 링갈라 뒤디 아니 장타 가주 스튜고도 제거 이나스 다그 아주 뒤저 고주로 와 뒤저 고주디 파티클 코나 가와이나야디 코랑기 통메네시디르와 데네 가차 나이 제라 아주기 아니 파티클 디 가와 뒤디 가와레바디 직 하고로 와 디다 타메기 네시디레스 지다 군이 발기 장타디다 뒤디기 드베 장타디 차소아 지다 뒤레고 문지체디 나란조 가뒤 문지체네 디기 오레스 디체 아니 뒤레고 임베갑수 네시디 통메 네시디 샤그레스 데네 뒤 가르쳐가이 제라 로 네시디 타메 네시 샤네 아니 군이 발기 장타디 아니 고라 뒤디기 드베 장타 차르레스 position 0 제로아디 ngaranz khawag ngai sungsung res.
So again, how you define position 0 or time 0, that's your choice. That's a convention. It's not absolute, right? I can define, even though we are in the same reference frame, I could call this as 0, but Geshe-la can call this as, say, 5 centimeters, right? And we will measure the motion of an object moving 10 centimeters. We would get the same measurement, even though we use two different, definition of where the origin is.
지다다 통매기 뒤 time 0다 아니 가르소랭 아주 position 0 라이셔와 디 아니 소소기 칸데 은지 제제레스와 고디 타니베 왕기 샤기 얼마도 고 축도 버케요 마레스와 디 임버순자 아니 겐라 코란다 게실라니 reference to Shichiganala Yoba Inaya, Gala Kora, any Pagi Nishi Lego La Yobache, any Gisela Senemiranga Yoba, Muziche Choguras, Yan Korangi Ngone, any Pajo di Karsure, di Nishi Lego Sha, Pajo di Ngalashane Digores, Cantis Munzi Cheba Inaya, any Chenje Chedi Chiba Yungores, Ra, Cheta, Tushing Karsure, Nishi. Dineni zigi inslani di suso khande kegeres.
Right, but I want to go back to the train example, right? I did not have the same experience as yours, but I want to try the next experience. Do you have, okay.
Gela korangi nyamnyola ra korangi ani mekord de baje shembadi duguyena shembadi dowa nangi to mado koran dowa nangi mindus sorki mindus di nyowa inaya ani gela koran bezu shembaji shugins.
So do you have the experience when your train is moving, you perceive that the platform is moving backward?
Kyanzu dende dona chungsmes susu meko di dunla dodi ani phage meko phapsu di pha gyabla dugi be dende nawa chanyomes.
You do, right? So again, that tells you, the measurement, this is relative, right? According to you, sitting on the train, it is as though the platform is moving backward.
Jada di nanglo la ani susu ta meko nal de derwa changi tokship chungye de la ani phage meko phapsu di pha gyabla dugi be ani tokship chung sumas.
Di really nice to. This is really nice to. Di a corner really station on the really tiny book kadija. Really the was Bonsinol really mabo de yara. And in really dead there, could really dead yara. Salata dendana and a roading our room do that. 아니 기구는 마즈네 사도 많도하지 시고는 이 릴리지분 토야지라 드니 릴리도 파도도 소소 조금 쉬어 파도도 드니 미갈레지네 야 자네에게 살다셔 되는 소소 대로다
So Geleg is clarifying the observation that he had. This happened at the platform, right? When his train is waiting,
Yep.
and then the train next to him started moving.
Yep.
And if he look from the window and not see the ground, just see the train, then he feels as if his train is moving in the opposite direction. But if he looked at the ground, then he realized that his train is not moving. And at this.
So I think that could be due to the fact that we are not really a point particle.
Di chikchina ngazu ani karsure point particle maimba ro di karsure sektabu dende chunjunji maimba genchini insigres.
Yeah, I think that's the reason. And because only my feet is touching the ground, but my body may have that slow motion. Right? So there may be a split seconds that I'm not really at rest. And therefore that caused that perception.
No, I think his train is not moving, right?
His
at the
train is
platform.
not moving, okay?
Not moving. He's sitting on his chair
Right.
or the bench, and then he's looking from the window, right? Just seeing the other train.
Okay,
and
okay.
then
Thank you.
he feels as if I don't know whether I should say feels. It seems as if the other, your train is moving, even though the other one, and you realize it when you look at the ground. So your body is not moving or
Okay,
jerking in
okay,
any way.
okay.
Yeah.
사다와 릴리스트레는 드라레스다
사다와
구글릴 땅가던
Okay, we can go to Hubli on Monday and then
And try it.
experiment, try it.
Go to,
Tadi
okay.
tindi chongya la ya, tanda gele songso. Tindi chongya la ya, ta nyenkor ke rili pasho menkor chikbo ma te shamba kanya mantong aji kogre. Kanya mantong aji na pasho menkor te yang zhowe na susu mandra ma pasho de zhowe chuni nanga ma to. Susu rang zhowe nanga to.
So
Nyenkor shamba kanya mantong kor.
this is in the case when you are only seeing the other train and not the platform or the ground, when you have that, feeling or observation, that sense as if, you are moving. Right?
Right, so I think this get back to the point, the reference frame is important, right? You need to realize you are part of the platform. You are not, you are, how should I say it? You are on a train with respect to the platform that is not moving.
So that nedan di nanglo la da susu da mekor che susu che rani ani babsu du changma da tüshi chik cha de ra tüshi chik imba di ani nge ba ina nge gu gi sa res nge de ke chim bu in sa res
Go ahead.
얘네 되게 단다 코 경기 손대 되시거래 단다 만주다 삼루당초 제라 나낭초 돈에서는 간다 삼루당초도 지야이나 아니 나와다 인바니 로가로 낭님은 좀 깨지시기도 아니 그게 맨건 로고요 나와대다 디데 소선 로고요 나와대다 데데요니 내서 베드 로가로 제자 단다 경기 뜨지 찍을 때는 자이나 디 로르나와디 타가란 로게 체마인 고고도세다 얘디 라워다 계시에니 뜨지 찍라 자니 파조텔라 체마세는 뎀바샤소나 로아데 뎀바샤소나 아니 가르스디간라 파조니 멘콘 로알테는 소소고 멘콘든 로고요 나와디 뎀바인 고고도 아니 드니 살마데디 데디도 아니 로아다 데바 니자인 고고도세야 얘 덴디 중요거를 외세고르다
So in Buddhism we talk about how things appear to us and how things really exist, right? So it seems like in this what appears to us, right? I mean, so how things appear to us, if it does not correspond to how things exist, right? If there is a gap between the two, discrepancy, then we consider our perception as mistaken, right? Now, in this case, it seems like, on the one hand, you are perceiving as if you are the one who is moving, right? But then if you check it and look at the ground, you realize that your train is not moving relative to the ground. So in this case, can we, should we say that both are correct, that perception that you are moving is correct, as well as that you are at rest relative to the ground?
So that question I cannot answer because I don't have that experience.
Kyanla gi thanda di thiwa di le gyap thu mindus kaisana kyanla khora la nyongwa di chung me cha le gyap thu mindus.
But what I can answer is that if we get back to the example where we go back to the initial demonstration by Geshe-la, right? You are perceiving him moving at what speed?
Chida that di person di tanda kyanla khora nyongwa me cha shu thu mindus ine nga zo di person shisun che ba inas tangi chik de da kyan de nyurse le gor che nga tu store wa kyan gi ta ba indu teba kapsus ani Geshe-la ani gele di karsure nyurse khachu ta che de driver res nyurse tempo tangi centimeter chu do jira
10 centimeter per second.
nga kar centimeter kar
Oh, just use that number.
oh
Yeah, use that number.
5 meters per second
5 meters per second.
yeah.
Yes. And according to the third observer, what do you see is the velocity of the second observer using the number?
kyan gi teba ina ro ani gele gi nyurse di khachu res kyan tangi 10 do ro 10 do na gele ngal ru gi na kyan gi ta yundi ani gele di nyurse khachu ru oh 5 meters per second
Which direction? This is velocity.
kapcho khawala ru go res the
Backward.
opposite direction
Right? So according to first observer, who is at rest relative to the ground, he perceived that the second, the Geshe-la is moving at Gelek is moving at 5 meters per second, positive direction. Yes. According to this observer, he perceived that Geshe-la is moving which way? Negative at what value? 5 meters per second. So what I can answer is both observers are correct.
chizada toshiba thangbo shisun cheba ina gele ani karcha rela miranga nga chini dunla dugu yorwas ta toshiba sumbadi cheba ina gele ani karcha rela miranga nga chini gyabla dugu yores ta genla gi toshiba niga digba res lani lab thugu res.
Do you agree? Yes?
La tuzulele do de nang thu mindus so the observation that we that we have as if the other one is moving backward or forward, it seems like it depends on the speed at which they are moving, because if the speed is really low, then that observation does not happen.
Right, so again, like as our own human experiences, it's a lot more complex, right? I feel, for example, the wind is blowing at me. I feel that. I feel, all the voices, right? So I cannot simply assume I'm just a point-like particle.
Re di chida da nga zu mi gi thongcho se gore ta su nawa chora nawa di mangbu la te di ge res ra nga zu du ba chik na shin chik marbas de la ta ne zu nyongwa mangbu ji ge gi res tu nyam do di ba tun za nga zu ge nyongwa se ne da nawa di ge mangbu ji la ne te de ba su ra che.
Right, so I'm under a lot of influences.
De la shu ge mangbu shu ji tep de res.
In this environment, and because of those influences, what we discuss in this very simple analysis doesn't work. It may not work all the time.
ngara zu gi da ne da di na lo la shu ge mangbu shu ye ba song zas ro ani phagi pe chen sha ya di tab de bu di na shin ani khasure nyongwa ani yongma thu wa yung ge res.
Right, because in this case, we didn't consider, the height of different Geshe-las, right? This would also change our perception somehow, right? So there are a lot of complications which those features are not captured in this very simplified analysis.
다 단다디 나로이나 콘주 수구링동기 개바요레스 디기에 ngaran주 nang주라 아니 슈겐테기레스 디임바순자 senshi sungya di tabe du chunjunjik rwa ani dugyo ba dinde ji senshi tab de bu shiu ji sung rwas ngoy ne da la ani ke mang bu shiu ji de yundu ani phagi nang shin ji gi nyongwa da chona ma ke ba yong sig res.
All right, so you all get confused. Okay, so very good. Thank you all so much. What time is it? Anybody can give me the time so that I know. 10? 12. So I have like 18 minutes. 1-8. Okay, very good. So, where's my... Okay, good. All right, so you all know what inertial frames are, right? Here we make very, very simple. No, this is a very simplified framework.
That yurgo deshi di kordi kyanzu kenswas. And
I hope, we are convinced that there's no absolute rest. This really depends on the inertial frame observer.
Number 2, any Tsukdubgi ngeso, Kanla and Tomegi ngeso, any Mebadi, any Karsure de la Neshe Nesmes. Nyana tuwa mangbu kachin yung gores. Tsudugi ngeso mebada, rwa ani di karsure yugo toshi rwa di ani tokshib kona toshibe kansa ale tokshib chegen rwa di ani yugo tosh kangdu yoba dila ani ra ligyo res ngeso se di ngeso dan dreba ngeso le nebare dreba res se di toshi chegen kansa korangi toshi la ra ligyo res.
All right. Okay, so now coming to the fun part. And here we will do today we will do a lot of something called thought experiment by Einstein. We cannot perform this experiment, but we will be using our brain, just thinking.
당아주 단데 테니 아인슈타인 기타 유튜브 기남샤단 데네 삼류 딱제 망부 제인스와 디 무스 딱제 두 마레시네 삼로 낭로라 아니 삼로당네 아니 제바체야레스.
Right, so suppose I have two observers. Both are in inertial frames.
다 도메 차라 아주 독시바 니 예베 본다. 니가 율곡 되시 나로 요레스.
The first observer is at rest with respect to the ground.
다 독시바 당보디 사실로 되데 녜소르 네데요레스.
The second observer is moving in a spaceship that is moving at constant velocity of 10 to the 5 kilometers per second.
독시바 니버디 더 카투지나리 요바체네 더 뉴세 템부기 토네 로데요레스 뉴세디 가조레스라나 카르체렐 킬로미터 봄직 기 에네 첼로 로데요레스.
Suppose I have a light bulb or very intense light source which emit light. And the light go in those directions.
더 밖에 외기 중공 첨부직 외 작세 토보 기준 체대gen 외기 중공 지여바체 아니 디네 중공 디네 외 아니 초 니가라 파드기 예배왕도 단스.
So what I would like you to figure out at your table first is what were the two observers measured in regard to the speed of this light rays in both directions, according to the first observer and the second observer.
더 캔즈 루가 체네 수수 쪽제가 두두나네 아니 가리 아니 최고레스 라바이나 와 독시버 수수스 the speed of light are you
Speed of light, yes.
독시버 수수 와 아니 외기 역세디 가즈 senje 제바이나 독시바 당보다 니버디기 senje 제바이나스 외기 역세디 아니 가즈인바디 아니 고란 senje 제기레스다 코니. So you want what was the question again? Can you repeat?
The speed. All right, so let's do it again. Here I have a light source that emit lights that go toward, forward and backward. So what I want them to figure out is what is the speed of light and the speed of light.
Okay.
These two directions.
And for this also? The
For
same?
that also.
Okay.
As observed by an observer traveling at this.
지금도 향적이 가르쳐줄 나네 최고레슬라바이나 독시바 니도아 코란기 왜 중군에 왜 템바와 초 갑쇼 도니 템바와 지상 코란기 외기 역세 디기 외기 역세다 디기 외기 역세디 제베가수 가수 제기래 안 독시바 디기 코 역세 도부시부지갈 로데라 외기 파드로에게 외기 역세 가수래 수용액이 디 갑쇼 딜러 드롱에 외기 역세 가수 제기래 Is it
clear what the question is? All right, so let's do it. All right, so do you have a conclusion?
Tandem Karela pop songs.
Anybody who wants to try?
Here? Do you want to try?
Yes, so what did you get? The table, yeah. Middle table.
The Josegima Kanzo Karela songs.
Just do the first observer, and the next table, do the second observer.
Observer Tangbodi. Observer
This
Tangbodi.
one, on the left. What does the observer on the left?
So he will observe the speed of the light in that direction and the other direction to be same, because he is at rest relative to the ground.
And what's the value?
Value khazure, speed khazure. 3 times 10 to the 8 meter per second.
All right, everybody agree with this?
This hangme meeting
Yes. All right, second table.
Josi nibadi.
Thank you. Yes. Damdu.
Hello. 아니, 간소가 니바 저라긴. 니바디 당보디 거의 격세디 10⁵ km/s kilometer ma meter napa ne public samban 10⁵ 8 m/s chaza ani loki gyose hoegi gyose di korani phazu chikbajigya phadu di samala digangla di dom di sambane khare 4 ngoni 3 ora 4 into 10⁵ 8 m/s chaza phadi sushudi ani dini di mathe 2 into 10⁵ 8 m/s.
So the speed of light that the observer measures, about the light that's moving, that way would be 4 times 10 to the 8 meter per second. And then the light that's moving this way, the speed would be 2 times 10 to the 8 meter per second. So you have to subtract the speed of the spaceship.
So does everyone agree? Okay, the table say no. Why not?
ngaso roga gi dilam ngole me shya ro di ngaso junyen gi tanda newton ge dodan jera di she sha wa na ti de ba wo ra kai sa na train ji do wa na di kal men da shu wa na train down men da ni gi speed de dom ne ko tse go ra ta we gi dil thumo mai be che we gi di constant tension realize ra di kai sa wa na di donye ka se jo wa yeme la ma de ba khran ka wa che ge ba ine de ba ine re do wa ine le ko jose jera chikba ji jang re cheba je do ma re chikba res.
Oh, okay. So, according to Newton's theory, that may be the case. Newton's law of motion, that may be the case. But according to Einstein, the speed of the light is constant. So therefore, the observer will measure a speed to be 3 times 10 to the 8 meter per second.
Very good, wonderful. So, excellent. This is still great. Like, this is the result that you got, right? 2 in that direction and 2 times 10 to the 8 meter per second in that direction, and this is 4 times 10 to the 8 meter per second. That's according to Newtonian mechanics.
So the Newton ki karsore tintim shisun cheba ina an tangi khonzu sungba na shinchini res ra wegi gyose phado egi wegi gyose di ani shila karsore bum shirwa karcha re la ani karsore meter bum shi che ani chu yonge ge we di la karcha re meter bum ni ra di cha ko ra kilometer ra inaya the Einstein ki di nanglola di chagma res.
Right, so this, in order for this to be true, then the light has to travel in certain medium, which is relatively at rest with respect to the ground.
The we kora chidan joye di gulam chi ki jo nal jo korbas dende ki gulam de ani sashila te de ani ngesor ne barwas.
So this led, in a little bit of the history, this led to the idea, so-called ether, which is a medium that the light would travel through.
Di latene ani ngazo kharsure samchu se korwat bichu chik chung yores lugu late baina di khares lana ether lani ze chik gulam chik yoba. So physicists,
they wanted to check, right, whether the light really travel in the medium. They performed, this is Michelson and Morley, they performed an experiment, and actually that's in my city, in California, Irvine, where they check, so the experiment setup is the following.
The gulam dinde chik gugu yeme yoda me ani takche chia di Michelson da Morley khoni ni ki takche chia bares di takche chesa di gyala khona yosa ge ani phage thongke dagara na res California nang lola an takche gi koba di dus cha de res
where they send the light beam, and I'm not going into the detail, we later may see this because of the time. They send the light beam toward the direction that is along the direction of Earth's motion.
Da khonzugi kharcherlana we chira we gi junggung che dinen we di ani khapcho kharila tangba resla baina kolegi joba irwa joba gi khapcho da chungba chine tangba res khapcho jigbe thone.
Another light ray is traveling in the perpendicular direction.
Tene we shemba chikwa tela de ani thangsugi ani khapchola jogi res.
Then they went ahead and measured the speed of light.
Tene ta khonzugi we ni gi jokse kharredo di ani chenje chebres.
If the light moves through ether, then the prediction would be like this, right? There would be a there would be different speed of light in two different directions.
Kesi we dirwa gulam thanda ether gi gyune drugi yoba ina tene ani gyokse di thangi khanzo gi tembana shinchine lego sigires.
But what they found is that the measured speed of light is the same in both directions.
Ine khonzu takchi shine cheyundi chenje che khari chungbareslana ani ko zambulingi khapjo da chungbe we di das ani de khapjo la thangte do nebe ani we ni gi gyokse di ani chikba imba nyeyo res.
And therefore this shows that our previous analysis based on Newtonian mechanics is not valid in this particular case.
Di takche di khari tembaresla ba ina ngazu Newton gi tintim sungi thone we gi gyokse chene chenje chora da di thönla negi meba ani ten thubares.
And this ruled out the idea that light is, travels through ether.
Di la tene ra we di ether gi gulam gi thödu dugu yoba samchu di ani shimeba thubares.
Right, so this leads to the postulate of special relativity that we will begin during the next session.
Da di la tene ani khasure nga zo khebar gi tutu ki namsha di shishasa gi ani chosha ni yorwa duni ni ga la phabi ung res andi nga zo soje chosani shugin is
tanda digital center la gonda
Wedding Zambuli Kacho the Chibatana said in Zambuli Kachola, Joseph Ranho to the Shengor Jora, Korokorachi, the Nimal Koras Jerry, Kandi Kachotan.
Shengod. Nimala Korage yi capture di na tsumba.
Right. Okay. So, question or
No.
no?
It's just a clarification point.
Yeah, sure.
I've done it.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that
So it's a percent tea break.
is a tea break?
Yeah.
Okay. So see you.
11.
Enjoy your 11. Yes. So see you at 11. Enjoy your tea break.